Hello, sisters. Welcome to the Sacred Medicine Podcast, weaving powerful, soulful practices into functional medicine. Step into this beautiful space of devotion and explore everything from nurturing foods, rituals, sexuality, and awakening your innate sensuality. It is time to own your radiance. This is the Sacred Medicine Podcast. You are listening to the Sacred Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Margaret Romero, and today we are talking all about gut health and autoimmune conditions. So one of the things that I want to highlight today is one of the biggest things that I do for every person that comes to me that has an autoimmune condition, whether that's MS, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, is checking a stool sample. And you may think, well, that's kind of weird. Why would you check that? I mean, that's never been checked before. My rheumatologist never asked me about my gut health, my digestion. Well, let me tell you, there is a link and there are studies that show that. So it is definitely one of the things that I look at. Your immunity is housed within your gut. And when your gut is off, when things are are not balanced, I may say, are not balanced, then things happen. Autoimmune, it becomes a trigger for an autoimmune condition. And it is never checked. Every person that has come to me that has an autoimmune condition and they feel like crap, and they're on all of these medications and biologics, and they still feel like crap, have never had their stool checked. Comprehensive. I don't mean you go to a regular lab and you leave a stool and it comes back like one tiny paragraph, no ova and parasites. Have you seen that before? I've seen it so much. And it's a worthless test, let me tell you. I have seen it. I never send one of my patients to get this type of the most simple test I've ever seen that really shows nothing. And sometimes it'll come up only if you have like a major parasite, but it won't tell you much else. A comprehensive stool test is one that tells me what type of microorganisms are there. It'll tell me if you have parasites or worms, and it'll give me which worm, which parasite. If you have a bacteria that is growing that can increase your risk for an autoimmune condition. It'll give you various strains of H. pylori. It will go into if you have any fat or blood in your stool. I mean, it's like 5 pages long worth of information. So the reason why I'm bringing this up today is because if you're listening to this and you have lupus or any autoimmune condition, it is vital to have a stool sample. And most rheumatologists, they're not connected with these particular functional labs that have these tests available to them. They're not aware that they exist just because, and I don't blame them, they were trained conventionally. It's not something they're trained in medical school. And so as a functional medicine practitioner, this is something that we all can agree on, that gut health will tell me if you are going to have a healthy life or a not so healthy life. It will tell me if you've got chronic infections. And these chronic infections they can and will trigger an autoimmune condition. So, autoimmunity, when you have an autoimmune condition, you have inflammation, right? The doctor will check maybe a CRP, a sedimentation rate, see how much inflammation you have. You can also feel it in your body. You've got joint pain, you've got redness in your joints, or maybe you just feel like you're kind of puffy and swollen in your face. you've gained some weight, and you don't feel good. You just feel off. You feel also in pain and a lot of fatigue. And you can see it in your body. And sometimes your ankles are swollen, or there's a particular joint, or you've got knee pain. You just don't feel good. You don't feel like yourself, that you know there's something wrong. There are days you can't get out of bed. And when you do, your feet hurt so much. The joints in your feet, right? Am I right? Okay. So what causes this inflammation? Now, if you have already been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, then most likely you've been put on medication, right? You've had a ton of blood work. You've had, they've given you a diagnosis and they've put you on some medication, most likely prednisone, methotrexate, Cellcept, Plaquenil, right? Okay. And they don't come without its own side effects, of course. And at the end of the day, there are some of you that feel a little bit better, and there are some of you that still continue to feel like shit. So nobody looks at the gut. It amazes me. It amazes me that because I see it over and over and over and over again. The conventional docs, rheumatologists, they give you Band-Aids. They give you Band-Aids to control the pain. They give you uppers to get rid of your fatigue without really finding out, why do you have the fatigue? Why do you have so much pain? They just say, oh, well, you have lupus. Sorry. You have pain and fatigue. Sorry. That's just what happens. There's nothing you can do. Here's a little Percocet. You're feeling a little anxious over this new diagnosis. Here's a little Xanax. Just stay on the medication. They don't talk to you about diet. Sometimes they do. If you're approaching kidney failure, they'll tell you not too much potassium, not too much salt, watch your blood pressure. But if you're not at that point, they don't really talk to you about nutrition. They don't really try to figure out, what triggered this? Well, that's where I come in, because that is what I do. And that's what this talk is all about today. I'm going to throw out some foods here that you probably eat on, if not a regular basis, on a daily basis. And if you are, your body is being triggered day in and day out. And what is it doing? It's causing inflammation. And then you wake up and you feel like shit. And you don't really know why. Well, I'm on the medication. Oh my God, this is just what I have to live with. This is just how it is. I've got this diagnosis and, there's nothing else. And I have to take these pills, and you've got a handful of pills every morning that you have to take. Well, let me tell you some foods that could be causing some of your inflammation. Okay. And trust me, I know that you're eating some of these. Number one, gluten. It's anything out there that has white flour in it. Pasta, breads, crackers, toast, sandwiches. So if you're consuming these things, you're consuming gluten. And that is one of the biggest triggers for inflammation. Now, I have said this so many times about how anyone I treat needs to be gluten-free. And if you think it is the most horrible thing that anybody can do to you, it's not that bad. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see that I'm not starving over here. I eat very well and I eat very healthy, but I'm also not just eating lettuce all day. Trust me on this one. Follow me on Instagram. It's under Margaret Romero. And follow my stories, because I will post whatever it is that I'm cooking that day. And we're going to get into some of the foods that I'm going to be bringing up. So some of the foods to stay away from. But let me continue with, because I was going to say something about potatoes. You'll see me eating potatoes, and that is a nightshade. And initially, when you're first being diagnosed and you are hurting and you're in the midst of a flare, I would stay away from nightshades. At this point of my life, I haven't had a flare in over 10 years. I can eat potatoes. I can eat the nightshades without a problem at all. So depends on where you are in the stage of where you are with your autoimmunity, will determine whether or not you should stay away from it or if you're okay to consume it. For me, it does not cause inflammation anymore. And I feel great on it. It doesn't bother me. But like I said, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Okay. So gluten. Okay. It was 1. Number 2, dairy. I know. I can hear it right now. Oh my God. You can't take away my milk. You can't take away my cheese. And it's something that not only does it's pro-inflammatory. That's it, pretty much. Bottom line, if it's not organic, and on top of that, if it's not organic, I mean, I do want you to stay away from dairy, but if you insist upon it, first of all, everything that I consume needs to be organic. And I don't do dairy, but if you're going to do any sort of dairy, which I highly disagree that you should be on any dairy, but organic is the way to go, because if not, guess what else you're consuming? You're consuming all the hormones that all those cows got pumped into it, all the antibiotics that was pumped into that cow. So you're consuming a pro-inflammatory food, dairy, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, milk, and butter. And you're also consuming hormones, antibiotics. You think that's really good for your body? It's not. So try to choose organic as much as possible, especially things like berries, fruit that you cannot peel, fruit that you eat the skin, peaches, all the berries, compared to like bananas or avocados, things you can peel, oranges. You don't have to be that strict about it. But if you know you're going to eat that peel, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, peaches, apples, yes, organic is the way, because if not, you are consuming toxins, the pesticides that were sprayed on it. If you think there's no pesticides, which, are toxins, you're wrong. Everything's been sprayed. So let's just decrease the amount, because now your body has to deal with those toxins, and it's so tired from dealing with this autoimmune condition that nobody as of yet in your life, no doctor has investigated why you're having this to begin with. They shrug their shoulders and they tell you, we don't know. Nobody knows why. And it's just a load of BS. Okay. So gluten, dairy, another one. Okay. You're going to hate me for this. Everybody's going to hate me for this. Eggs. I don't eat eggs anymore. I used to. I still like eggs. But I won't touch them. I really won't. I won't touch them. I do egg replacers when I'm baking something that requires eggs. And that's it. If you look at my Instagram, I have in the highlights, I have a food in my highlight. And so go on there and check out all the different foods and things that I've eaten over, for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and what have you. I also don't eat cold cereal with milk or almond. I only drink almond milk. I can't remember the last time I had cold cereal. I don't know why people think that's a good breakfast. It's loaded with sugar and gross stuff and glyphosates, especially the cereal that you just buy from the regular supermarket. First of all, it's filled with gluten and it's filled with glyphosate. So eggs, you're going to have to find something else, maybe gluten-free oatmeal with a little bit of a touch of honey, with maybe a little bit of nuts or raisins on there, maybe some shredded coconut on there. So, cut up a banana, have something warm, like start your day, unless you're doing some intermittent fasting or you're doing a juice in the morning, that's fine. And then your first meal is lunch, or maybe in the late morning, you're having a snack of some kind. But I would say, yeah, I ate late. I ate a late breakfast, and it's typically when I'm home, it's typically something warm. I'm actually cooking. I'm actually like peeling a potato and chopping it up into small pieces and having like a rosemary breakfast potato hash. And then I will have some chicken sausage on the side, maybe with a little bit of steamed kale with some garlic. And maybe you think I'm extreme for cooking this much, but it makes me feel good. Like cereal, I can't, I just won't eat that stuff. Or I'll do a juice first thing in the morning, and then I will cook something like that, like maybe around 11, and it'll take me through, and maybe I'll have a snack at around 3 or 4 and then make dinner. So that's just my schedule. And then if I'm actually at work, I will bring something for breakfast. And even if it's a little bit, like I have gluten-free raisin bread, maybe I'll bring that. If there's like nothing else and I'm rushing out the door, I will do that with maybe some vegan cream cheese, and maybe I'll bring an apple, a banana. What else will I have? And then I will have either a coconut. I don't do regular yogurt. I'll do a coconut yogurt, or there's also almond yogurt, but I really don't consume it that much, honestly. Okay, so gluten, dairy, eggs. Next one, corn. So yes, if you love consuming the popcorn while you're watching Netflix, if you love your tortillas, if you love your tortilla chips, by the way, you can substitute that with cassava chips. Okay, it's made from cassava flour. There's no corn in it. That's a great alternative. It does not taste really any different. You can also do, how about banana chips in your dip? Why does it have to be corn? Okay, it's pro-inflammatory and it's got GMO. Not good. What else? Too many nuts. I see people, too many raw nuts. It's your body, it's a little hard to digest, honestly. So be conscious of that. If you don't feel good or you get a lot of gas, or it's, plus if you consume too much, it's almost a little too much fat, though it's healthy, but I wouldn't consume a ton of it. And then too many grains. First of all, even if you're gluten-free, you may be having all these other kinds of grains, like tons of buckwheat, tons of millet, tons of amaranth, and you think like, this is so good for you. This is so good for you. You can't just either don't consume it as much or just don't consume it at all. Okay. So I was going back to what causes inflammation. Foods, the ones I just mentioned. And also what else causes it? Chronic infections. What do we see in the gut? We see parasites, worms. If you think you need to go to a different country out of the US, or out of like in, I don't know, where do people get parasites and worms? Like I don't know, if you're traveling to like Thailand, you think, maybe Mexico, I'll probably end up getting a parasite. That's probably what happened. No, it's down the street at the sushi place. That's where you're getting your parasites. We know what fishes contain the highest amount of parasites? Okay, you ready? Eel. Number 2, tuna. The worst, toro tuna. So keep that in mind. People think, oh my God, the toro tuna is like the top of the line tuna. It's more expensive. I want that. I'm going to get it. Well, you may be buying parasites. So, and if you think you don't have parasites, think again, because I see parasites so much. Worms? Absolutely. It happens. It's in the food. You go out, you get salad from a salad bar. You don't know if those things have been washed. Who's touching it? Are they wearing gloves the whole time? Like whoever prepared that grilled chicken, whoever prepared, all of that stuff that's under there, were their hands clean? Like where did it come from? Like what container? How long has it been there? How old is it? What's the shelf life? Has a fly landed on it? Like when you think about this stuff and you don't think that you could have picked up a parasite or worm, it's gross to like think about how easy it is to pick it up, honestly. Okay, so we've got parasites, we got worms. You know what else? Yeast, candida. You think it's only in the vagina? No. If it's in the vagina, it's most likely, or it can be, highly in your gut as well. So what makes candida worse? What makes it worse? Sugar, alcohol, wine. Pandemic, who else? Who's drinking wine? Raise your hand. Everybody. Wine, liquor stores, liquor stores, like never closed. Churches closed, but liquor stores, no. Because if not, people will go insane. And so that's how candida grows. Look at your tongue in the mirror. Is it slightly white? Is there like a white coating on your tongue? Girlfriend, yeast. Okay. You think it only happens in the vagina? No. If it's in your mouth and it's in your vagina, then you've got it in your gut. Even if you don't have it in your vagina and you're having a lot of gas after you eat, you're craving sweets. You're just craving sugar. You need it. You're just like, oh my God, I need it. Where is it? Let me get something sweet. I need something sweet. Guess who's talking? It's the yeast. It's the bugs in your gut. That's who's actually wanting it. That's where you're actually getting this craving. It's because of your yeast. They're bugs. They're real bugs. They're causing that craving. So keep that in mind. And there's just certain bacteria in your gut. So all these things that I'm telling you, these all cause inflammation. They are all chronic infections. And so your body every day is trying to fight these chronic infections. You don't think it's getting tired? You don't think that these parasites and worms and yeast are eating up your nutrients? They are. You're just basically feeding the bugs. So that's what's happening. And then you could have certain bacteria. H. pylori. When's the last time you were checked for that? Maybe you have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. If you have that, you will feel really gassy and bloated, like at the top part of your belly, not below the belly button necessarily. It's high up. It's higher. It's above the belly button, like right where the ribs end, and like right underneath the xiphoid process, where the ribs end in that soft spot, high up in the middle. You most likely have SIBO. Okay, that means that bacteria that was down lower, like in the colon, has come up. It's migrated up. And that can take a little bit to get over, but you can get rid of it. Sometimes it comes back though. So these things, once we can discover what is lying in your gut, it can be resolved. But when you've gone years with an autoimmune condition, nobody has checked to see what the hell is going on in your gut, then we got problems. All those medications you're taking, you're injecting, you're infusing, that you're spending so much money on, and all these things, not going to work. You know why? Because maybe you have a couple of parasites, maybe you got worms, maybe you have overgrowth bacteria. And these medications, that's what I'm getting to next. Medications cause issues with the gut too. It causes something called leaky gut, also called permeability. And conventional medical community doesn't really believe that even exists. You know, it exists. It does exist. And there are a lot of things. So when you have leaky gut, there are a lot of things that can cause that. So when you have this leaky gut or permeability issue, then your body's constantly reacting and reacting and reacting and reacting to it. Like it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So bacteria or food or your body's reacting to having things because now it's permeable. Things are getting into spaces that it shouldn't be. And the body's like, whoa, what the hell is this? I've never seen this before. And then you don't know like what's going on. Like you're suddenly like inflamed after you eat. Or the medications can cause that. All the medications you're on, those 10 or 20 pills that you're taking every day, right? It can be making things worse. Now, I'm not saying to get off your medication. What I'm saying is find out if you actually have permeability. Find out what's causing it. Is it parasites, chronic infections? Like what the heck is going on? Don't stop the pills because I don't want you to get into some major flare and end up in the hospital. Okay? You never want to get off your meds. You need to first figure out what the hell's going on. And I do that. Functional medicine providers in general, we do that. That's the basis and core of what we do. Okay, so aside from all this bacteria and the parasites and candida those are chronic infections, they can cause permeability. Permeability is a trigger to autoimmune conditions. That is why getting your stool checked is of utmost importance. I cannot emphasize it enough. Okay, so what else causes it? Okay, I'm sure a lot of you take a lot of this pretty often. You get headaches, you get migraines, which, by the way, is a sign of permeability. It's a sign of food sensitivity. Over-the-counter medications, that's what everyone tends to take. Pop a Tylenol, pop some Motrin, 600 milligrams Motrin, 800 milligrams Motrin. Joint pain. What's going on? I don't feel good. I'm having, you have pain. So what do? You take some Motrin, you take some Tylenol. Well, it's also contributing to leaky gut. And you know what else? Tylenol decreases your glutathione, which your body naturally makes. You know what glutathione is? It is an antioxidant that also helps to detox. The more Tylenol you take, you decrease the amount of glutathione, so your body is not able to detox. Especially with medications, biologics that you're on. The body's like, whoa, what the hell? I cannot detox all these things. But then you got the pain. So you're throwing Tylenol at it. You're throwing Motrin or Advil at it, making the situation worse. It's a cycle. Do you see what I'm getting at? Toxins, another thing. That's also, well, it is a trigger on its own, but can cause permeability issues. And my God, there's toxins everywhere. Not only the air that we're breathing, the things that we're consuming, the glyphosate, the cereals in the morning. So you start off the morning by having cereal, glyphosate, gluten, body's being triggered. Boom. That's how you're starting your day. Then you consume coffee in an empty stomach, and you're putting a strain on your adrenals. I mean, this is a whole other topic, the adrenals and the hormones and all of that. And then for lunch, you have a sandwich or you have a wrap and it's more gluten and the body's being triggered. Okay. It's like, whoa, what the hell? This again, now I have to and so it's being revved up. It's being revved up. And then dinner, some pasta, something like that. Having chicken cutlets, anything breaded. It's like your body's on constant alert because you are unaware that you have permeability. You don't know that you should be gluten-free. No one's ever told you that. I cannot believe, it actually makes me mad. It makes me mad. It makes me mad to know that rheumatologists don't say, you know what? Okay, this is what I wish for the world. Okay, I wish for the world for there to be rheumatologists out there to say, you know what? We're going to figure this out. What I want you to do, so we're going to start with a stool test. What I want you to do, I need for you to be gluten and dairy free. Okay, here's how you do it. Don't worry. We're just going to substitute the gluten-free pasta and bread for this. The gluten-free bread, gluten-free pasta. These are the brands that are the best. And we're going to figure this out. My God, this world would be a different place. Okay? Because that is what I say to my patients. But the problem is that every time someone comes to see the doctor and they're having joint pain and then they get blood tests and the blood tests are positive and your ANA is elevated and your titers are through the freaking roof and you have anti-DNA that's positive, what do they tell you? What do they tell you? They tell you, we need to refer you to a rheumatologist. You have to see a rheumatologist. So you go, you get the blood work, you get a diagnosis, you get put on medication. End of story. We'll see you back in 3 months. And I'm right. Because, girlfriend, I've been there. I know what it's like. It sucks. That's why I had to figure this shit out myself. And I did, and now I teach, and I show other women what their triggers are, how to heal, and get over this. So you're no longer a slave to the rheumatologist, to the medications, to everything. All the things that they were telling you. I wish that the number of times the doctor has told you to stay out of the sun, that they can also at the same time tell you, stay off gluten. Take this much vitamin D. Watch what you're eating. These are the things you need to stay away from. And you know what? Let's do a stool test. I swear, this world will be a different place. It just baffles my mind what conventional medicine lacks in when it comes to treating chronic illness. I'm not saying conventional medicine is all bad. It's not. It's not. It's definitely life-saving. It's definitely something, if you've got trauma, you were in a car accident, trauma circumstances, cardiac arrest. You need conventional medicine. But when it comes to chronic illnesses, I think this is where they lack. Okay, let me make this out. This was only going to be a 15-minute thing. It's now 30 minutes. So let's see. Okay, let's just talk quickly about genetics. Okay. If that is definitely a risk factor, if you know someone in your family that's had an autoimmune condition, but just because someone in your family has lupus or other autoimmune issue does not guarantee that you're going to get it too. So let's just stop thinking that way. Let's stop creating that experience for your life. Okay. It does put you a little bit higher risk, but there's no guarantee that you'll get it. But if you can at least be treated or really watch your diet in general, make sure you're not consuming too much, or just not even too much, no junk food, no fried foods, some things that people just love. I don't know. What are people eating these days? Kentucky Fried Chicken or, what's that other one called that everyone loves now? Oh my God, I can't even think of it. Never been to it. I know Sonic. Okay, isn't that something? There's not one by me, but I know people talk about Sonic. There's another really popular one that they, it's got a chicken, it's like a chicken place. Chick-fil-A? That's it. Chick-fil-A. Never been there. I don't know. Never tried it. Stay away from that stuff. It's not good for you. All right. And some of the nightshades. This is what I was going to talk about. Potatoes, eggplants, tomatoes, peppers. Okay. In the beginning, I would stay away from these things. I consume them now, and because I have been flare-free for a long time and they don't bother me anymore. I have anti-DNA is 0 and ANA is negative. So I can consume these things with no problem. And let's see what else. One other thing. People consuming the same foods over and over and over, day in and day out, day in, day out, day in and day out. The same things. Your body, no, don't do that. Your body doesn't like that. Do rotation, please. Do not do the same thing every single day. You need to have variety. Your body will not like it. You'll eventually get very sensitive to that food. You will become very sensitive to it. You will start to react to it. The body needs change. You need to rotate. Okay? So look, the whole point of this talk today was to tell you how important it is to get a stool test. Because look at all the things that it can tell you. And what causes like gut health to not be functioning well. We talked about the different foods. Dairy, gluten, eggs, corn, soy in there too. I don't know. Who eats soy right now? Tofu? I mean, I guess people eat tofu. That's another topic for another day, but I don't eat tofu. I don't eat, soy sauce has gluten in it. If you didn't know that, it does. Switch to tamari, which is gluten-free. It tastes just like soy. Don't think it tastes like different or gluten is horrible or gluten has no taste. You're totally wrong. Look, trust me, I'm not starving. I'm not. I'm just not. I eat really well and I eat very healthy. But I'm not like eating just lettuce all day. So trust me on that one. Just check out my stories. Check out follow me on Instagram. You'll see. And what will the stool test show? Like I said, chronic infections, yeast, bacteria, overgrowth of bad bacteria, pathogens in your gut that shouldn't be there. That it can also show that you don't have enough good bacteria. It tells me so much. So that's it. That was my point for this whole lecture. You got autoimmune conditions, you got joint pain, you feel like crap all day, every day, day in and day out. You go to sleep, you wake up, you don't even feel well rested. You get out of bed, you force yourself out of bed, you step on the floor, your feet hurt like hell, your joints hurt. And then you kind of try to, feel better and the day just sucks. Trust me, I've been there. I don't feel like that. I haven't felt like that in over a decade. I know I've been there, girlfriend. I have. And listen, I just sent, a stool test to be tested because I keep up. I have to know what's going on. I feel good, but I stay on top of it. I do a stool test once, maybe twice a year. Because I have to know. I do blood work. I check my vitamins. I practice what I preach. That's it. You won't see me not practicing what I preach. I do it in my daily life, and that's how I stay well. All right, that's it. Let me get off my soapbox. And if you're interested in learning more, you can feel free to DM me on Instagram. Feel free to email me. And if you have any questions, if you want to get the kit, listen, shoot me an email. Let's talk. If you want this test, ship it to your home. We can talk about it. All right. I'm here. I'm here for you. If no one's ever talked to you about stool tests, I'm not surprised. Okay. Welcome to the world of conventional medicine. But this is different. This is a different approach. This works. There's studies. This isn't woo-woo. This is not some, I don't know, listen, conventional medicine and functional medicine, they don't like us. We take away their business. All right. So I gotta go. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for listening wherever you are in the world. And if you are suffering right now, I say prayers for all of you every day. And I wish you just health and happiness. If you want to know any more, reach out and I will have my contact info in the show notes. Many blessings to you all. Thank you so much for listening. Love to you all. Bye for now.